Headed to Europe but not sure of the current travel restrictions? Well, in this week's video, we're going to go over the current travel restrictions that you need to be aware of to get to Europe and back to the United States. Cue that intro.
What's up YouTube? Trevi from the Adventure Buddies, the modern travel family, bringing you another video filled with tips, tricks, and inspiration to make sure you maximize your next family adventure, like we always do here at the Adventure Buddies.
So first and foremost, if you want to know the most up-to-date travel restriction other than following along with us here at the Adventure Buddies, if you're not, hit that red subscribe button right now. But we recommend checking out this video here or going to canitravel.net for the most up-to-date international travel restrictions. This is an easy, free-to-use website that gives you the most current information. So make sure you stick around all the way to the end of this video. We're going to share some breaking news as it relates to the travel policies here in the United States that you are going to want to be aware of. So first things first, when talking about traveling to Europe, you need to understand which countries are EU and which ones are non-EU, because that does have a little bit of a difference when you look to the COVID travel restrictions. So primarily in this video, we're going to talk about the EU countries because they are particularly following the same COVID protocols, but make sure you do your own individual research leading up to that actual travel because travel restrictions can change at any moment. So as we recently embarked on our trip to Europe, we landed in Rome. And so when you got to Rome, if you had your vaccine requirement, there's no test needed, but if you did not have proof of vaccine, you did need to show that negative COVID-19 test upon arrival as you checked into immigrations and then through customs. After immigrations and customs, now that you're in the city, you do not need a mask as long as you are outside. So following similar protocols to that which we are following here in the United States, but when you do need to wear a mask is when you are inside. However, they typically are now asking you to show that proof of vaccination or a COVID-19 negative test when you go inside any establishment, whether that's a store, whether that's a restaurant, museum, etc. So making sure that you do have either of those two documents handy is actually needed almost everywhere that we went, which was particularly different than what we experienced here in the state. One caveat that we should mention, either your test or your vaccine card can actually be displayed with a photo on your phone. So pro tip for you, we take our vaccine photo, put that in our favorite album so we can quickly retrieve that when needed when we're going inside one of these establishments. So as we talk through vaccination cards, it should be noted that all the major vaccines that are distributed here in the United States, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, etc., those are all accepted in the EU. So making sure you have the hard copy or the digital copy is all you need to get through where you need to go. So similar to the United States, whether you're taking an Uber or a taxi, we actually struggled as a family of four to get one because typically the sedans are only legally allowed to hold 3 passengers because of social distancing, mask policies, and overall COVID protocol. So us getting a taxi for a family of 4 was actually relatively difficult wherever we went. So that's just something you should be aware of when planning out your travels throughout Europe in today's environment. So those are the basic COVID protocols that you need to be aware of when traveling to Europe. Making sure that you have that vaccine card and or negative COVID-19 test, plus making sure that you just carry a mask around with you because you never know when you're going to be asked to put that on. So now let's get into the last important step is how do you get back into the United States when traveling abroad? So the big thing that you need to know is that regardless of vaccine status, in order to get back into the US from an international location is that you need to provide a negative COVID-19 test, whether that's the antigen or the PCR test. So most importantly though, that test has to have been taken within that 24-hour window from your departure back to the United States. So that is a recent change. It used to be 72 hours, now it's 24, so it is a bit inconvenient to get that scheduled. But again, it's a important reminder that that test has to be within 24 hours because they do check once, sometimes even twice, in the airport to make sure that you are compliant. What they also are now doing is making sure that you sign an attestment form that your COVID-19 test is valid. So that's something that is particular just to the United States and that the airlines are making you fill out and then turn into immigrations when you arrive. It should also be noted that earlier this week from the taping of this video that the US actually lifted its mask policies when traveling on planes, trains, or automobiles. So what that means though is that you need to be aware of what your airline specific policy is, because not every airline is handling this mask lifting restriction the same way. So that's both from a domestic or international airline standpoint. So you just need to be aware of what your airline is currently currently doing and how you need to abide by those rules in order to travel. And so there you have it in a nutshell, what you need to know in order to travel into Europe, and most importantly, what you now need to do in order to get back into the United States from traveling abroad. And so if you like this video, please consider giving us that big thumbs up. Comment down below where you headed to in 2022. And if you haven't already, hit that red subscribe button for more travel tips and adventures. And so I'm Matt from the Adventure Buddies, and remember, life's an adventure. Who are you going on with?